Let me ask you something. Do you think that arcane is the only magic that can manipulate time and space? Because that's not true either. That's also not true. So it's one of those things like maybe there's more there. Void can do it. Fel can do it. To a degree, I think even light can do it. But so that's part of kind of why I'm trying to say that, like, maybe, and I've been through all this before, but maybe the divided nature of magics as we perceive them is not really accurate. Okay? I think that everything in the cosmos runs on a base power system. Energy. Period. Energy. No matter what. Energy is required. I think the highest sources of energy are clearly souls. Okay? I think that what magic is and what we perceive as magic is not the same as the energy. Think about it like anima, okay? All the anima comes into the Shadowlands looking the same way. It all comes attached to souls, doesn't it? All of the souls come into the Shadowlands as white energy, right? Right. Now that we've established that, when you go into each zone has a different effect, has different methods of how they extract and wield anima. Does that mean that anima at the fundamental level is different? No, it doesn't. What it shows you is that it is the influence of those realms and wielders that is more of an expression that you know as magic. It's why we talk about Revendreth anima as though it's separate from Maldraxxus anima, even though it's not. It's just the method of extraction and how it's utilized that makes it appear differently, okay? So the base power that I think is fueling all of these magics is actually probably the same, but it's the methods, right? And I think that the thing that we watched briefly about Chris Metzen yesterday talking in the 2005 BlizzCon about how the Blood Elves had learned how to, instead of using arcane energy, they learned the demonic methods of ciphering that lingering energy from around them. And so I think what Chris was kind of trying to say was that they are essentially pulling upon the same essence, but the method through which they're doing it is different. It's like being a shaman, whether you're a dark shaman or a regular shaman. If you're using spirit to command the elements or decay to command the elements, it doesn't really matter that much, because at the end of the day, what are you commanding? The elements, okay? The power is from them. And so we look at it like, oh, spirit and decay are like these different things, but I think that they're not. They're methods that are slightly different and that can result in a different appearance. The methods influence its characteristics. Exactly. Yes. That's kind of what I think. And I think that our perception of magical representations in the universe has potentially blinded us to the true source of the energy, in that we think that there is arcane energy, and maybe there is, coursing throughout the cosmos or whatever, and that subsequently there is this opposite and conflicting fel energy. But really what those are, as described in Chronicle, are the most commonly perceived manifestations of the cosmic forces. They are what we most commonly associate with and perceive to the cosmic forces. But that doesn't mean that magic, as we see it, is the cosmic force. What you see magic as is the result of a cosmic force manipulating energy. That's what I believe. And I believe that all energy comes from the soul, all of it. Whether it's a demon soul, a dragon soul, a mortal soul, a titan soul, it does not matter. It all comes from the soul, I think. And it's just different methods of manipulating it. All forces course through the universe, since the universe probably wouldn't exist without them. Sure. In a way, all cosmic forces should kind of permeate through everything. It's kind of like the Force. Yeah. Right? You have the Sith who call upon the Force in a dark, twisted, subjugative way, and so they can manifest these powers like Force lightning, which I think technically can happen on the other side with Jedi, but it's different. Whereas like with, you know, with Jedi, you might have other powers manifesting, even though what are they both drawing upon? The Force. It's the same thing. They're just using different methods. Arcane and Fel are the north and south pole of one another. They're one and the same, but how they're manipulated and used is what determines our outlook on one another. And I would like you to consider that maybe that's possible for everything that we consider antithetical to each other. Maybe what you just said is true for also light and shadow, and for life and death. That in this way that we perceive them as being separate and divided things, they're not. That they're directly related to each other. And that the way that the cosmos has, frankly, in my opinion, been presented to us thus far is telling a story of division and separation. But the irony of it is that all of these cosmic forces are all selfish. They're all doing the exact same thing. Their methods are just different. You guys see that, right? All these cosmic forces, they're really just doing the same thing. They just have different ways of seeing it, right? We perceive the light and void as being antithetical to one another, but the truth is that neither of them can really truly see what's going to happen or do their role without the other one, you know? It's kind of like life and death, you know? We want to support life. We go to the realms of death. We see how fucked up it is. We gain a sense of empathy for death. We're like, man, maybe this isn't right. We learn about the unity between life and death and why they're so important to go together. And, well, we didn't really learn that in Shadowlands, to be honest with you. But, you know, and then we find this connection between the two of them and good things start happening. So, in this way, it's kind of like the Planescape videos that we watched last week where that guy was talking about how even in the plane of order, there are random pockets of chaos, of things that don't really belong there. Or even the other way around, in the realm of chaos, little pockets of order. Diametric opposites are often necessary for balance. True. Do you think the primal elemental powers are different, and that's why Sargeras uses an elemental magic of fire rather than any of the cosmic forces? I think that there are layers to World of Warcraft, and I do think that there are some forces that appear more natural than others. Okay, so I would attribute the elements to being closer to the true nature of Azeroth than any of the individual cosmological forces. And I think that's reasonable. That she's not arcane, she's not fel, she's not life and death, she's not light and or shadow. If anything, she's all of those things. But I think in this way, kind of the fundamental building blocks of the universe all kind of stem from the same place anyway. So perhaps the cosmological forces as we know them, the magics as we know them, is something more basic like elements or a spirit itself or soul itself being manipulated by the cosmic forces, therefore appearing as separate and different forces when they're really not. Which is why I think she's trapped within a Dyson sphere. I mean, we've talked about that at length.